hydration products that have sugar in them can help us optimally hydrate, because sugar molecules help bring more water molecules across the small intestine. So we've got this interplay between hydration supporting overall carbohydrate intake, and we've got this interplay.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that. So that's different from, I was under the impression, and I think a lot of people are, you could run water in your bottles and have, you know, your fueling strategy entirely based off fried egg Haribos, and you're good to go. But there's a difference in fueling solid fuel and water versus traditional sports drinks.
Yeah. So like a traditional sports drink, like with a little bit of carbohydrate in it, with sugar in it and electrolytes in it, and then getting your fuel from some other carbohydrates as well. What happens is when you are consuming a sports drink with electrolytes and sugar in it, the sugar can help to get more water molecules across your intestine in a way that,
So would that happen if I had a handful of Haribo washed down with a water electrolyte mix, or does it have to be in the actual drink?
That's a good question. I don't want to say one way or another because I'm not 100% sure on that. But it's coming, I'll tell you where it's coming from. It's coming from what we see a lot is people picking up a product that has sugar in it and saying, oh, I don't want a product with sugar in it, right? Sugar is bad. I shouldn't be having that. And like, your electrolyte product can have sugar in it because it's going to help optimally hydrate you. Like there's this fear of sugar and carbohydrate that has been translated into anything with sugar and carbohydrate in it is bad and it's not going to benefit me. And I'm like, well, we have to look at the context of it. If you're sitting on your bike and you're trying to optimize your hydration, the sugar can actually be beneficial. And I'm not sure totally if the sugar in the electrolyte drink is going to be the same and have that same like boost to hydration, moving those water molecules across the small intestine as if you're consuming the Haribo.
Yeah. I remember when I first got onto the national track team, they used to weigh us before and after sessions and then have us replace the difference in weight in fluid that evening.
Yeah.
Is that still like acceptable science, or has it evolved from that?
That's a starting point. So the way that I will have people do the fluid loss sweat tests, which is what was happening there, is I will have them, there's actually a calculator online from the Gatorade Sports Science Institute. So if you type into Google GSSI, Gatorade Sports Science Institute, fluid loss calculator, it's a really easy way to plug in your pre-exercise body weight and then your post-exercise body weight. You can also tell them how much fluid you consumed during the effort. And then from there, it'll tell you what your fluid loss was. From there, you want to replace 75 to 90% of those losses. And that's in an effort to not lose more than 2 to 3% of your body weight per session. Because if you lose more than 2 to 3% of your body weight, what we know about that is that's when dehydration starts to happen. And that's when we start to compromise our performance.
And am I replacing that 75 to 90% purely with water, or is it back to your water, sugar, electrolyte mix?
Yeah, that's when we're getting into electrolytes, because there's two components of what happens when you are sweating and losing fluid. You're also losing sodium, which is the primary electrolyte that you lose when you sweat. That's what we need to replace too. So my general rule of thumb is anytime you're sweating, you need to be replacing what you're losing in your sweat. What you're losing in your sweat is you're losing fluid. You're also losing electrolytes. So what would happen if you were just consuming water when you're sweating is you have your system, right? Your body here, you're consuming water. At the same time you're losing electrolytes, you're watering down those electrolytes in your blood plasma that you're already losing. So that's a double whammy there, So
how does this play with a glycogen reuptake window? So when we finish our session, the idea that our bodies are more primed to reabsorb lost glycogen. So traditionally we would have reached for a recovery drink around then. Some people would have used, a commercial recovery drink. Like I know you're working in Scratch Labs, they have some recovery drinks.
Yep.
I've often just used chocolate milk. That's a 4-to-1 carbohydrate to protein mix, or just literally eyeballed it into the blender. But should I be additionally looking to have a dual function in this of, yes, having one eye on glycogen reuptake, but having a secondary eye on electrolyte and rehydration in the same drink?
You could, for sure. And then that would be especially important if you're doing a multi-day effort, right? Like back-to-back stage race, something like that. Or if your losses were really significant, right? If you're exercising in the extreme heat and you maybe just couldn't get in what you needed to get in during, then you want to replenish your glycogen, or sorry, your electrolytes, your sodium, as much as possible right after that. There's not necessarily like the glycogen window, like the sensitivity that happens with insulin acting on your muscle cells in terms of that. But typically the general rule of thumb is like drink electrolytes, have a serving of electrolytes, notice, hey, when do you have to go pee next, right? And you're going to be adequately hydrated if you can, as soon as you can start to like urinate at a regular frequency after you finish your effort, as opposed to, hey, I finished my effort and it's been 2 hours and I still haven't had to go pee. Then you probably want to start drinking some electrolytes.
Anyone who's had dope control after a race will have that experience where you're just sitting around waiting for 2 hours and you can't go for a pee, and they're just staring at you going, can I go home?
Yeah.
It's like, not yet.